Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. This is basically a follow-up to the first Gary Moore habits video, and the reason why we're doing this is because obviously in the first one there's things I think of or have thought of after that I thought, oh, I could have put in the first one, or just didn't get a chance without the video being too long anyway. So we're going to make a new video and put some more stuff in, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. There's a few things I want to talk about, and the first thing is going to be what I call the Irish Twiddle. Now, this is basically just a simple hammer-on pull-off that Gary Moore used to do. It's not so much a specific thing, it's more about how he played it. So let's take a simple hammer-on pull-off lick, or just a few hammer-ons and pull-offs. Okay, just going down this scale here, which is more, it's kind of like an A minor type scale. And with the Irish Twiddle, it will sound something more like this, as opposed to this. Let's play them alternately and see how you can, if you can hear the difference. Right? So the first time that we played it, it was more like this with the hammer-ons. Or like this. With the Irish Twiddle, it's more like this. Okay, so the hammer-on is much quicker. When you play the first note before the hammer-on, it's more like a ghost note, and you hammer on very quickly and pull off very quickly, and the third note that you pulled off to sounds a little bit longer, as opposed to this. And that's basically what I call the Irish Twiddle. It's just kind of a characteristic thing that I hear Gary Moore do a lot with that bit of Irish influence, and just try it out. Just try some random licks and just think of, instead of doing this, maybe go and see, you know, if you can get more of that Irish feel, if you want to play a little bit more like the way Gary Moore played. Alright, so this next one's a really fun one. It's what I like to call the Overbend blues curl. And yeah, basically, let's just play a simple blues curl lick first, and then we'll explain some things. So if you don't know what a blues curl is, it's when you finish a phrase with a note that you bend up slightly. It could be a quarter note or a half note, and at the top of the bend, you cut the note off. One more example. Okay, so Gary Moore used to take this to an extra extreme, where he would like bend up almost like 4 frets at the end of the phrase. Okay. You can hear we started on this note, and they almost end up at this note. Okay? It's just a little quirk that he used to do when he wants to put in a little bit of extra attitude. When he's playing and he's on fire and he's like a lot of energy in that particular phrase. Maybe he's turning the gain up and he's playing some fast, you know, phrases, and he ends it, and he's kind of like really has that feel. And you can really hear the attitude, even just a few notes like that. So it's what I call the Overbent blues curl. Give it a try. Alright, so this next habit is also a very fun one. In the previous video we spoke about unison bends. We're going to be talking about double bends right now. Okay. A lot of attitude in these bends here. They will hurt your fingers a little bit as well if you're not used to them. But basically, what is a double bend? Let's just take what we're playing here in the A minor pentatonic scale. We have the extension here. Now this note here, where we bend up. Alright. When we bend that note up a full tone, we're also going to try to grab with the same finger the B string underneath. So we're going to try and grab both strings, just like this, and then bend up. You get kind of a dissonant sound. Angry dissonant sound is what I would call it. You can do it here as well. Right? And the higher you bend it, I guess the more attitude that you kind of get from the sound. But if I do bend it 3 frets, it's because it's kind of part of the way the scale works usually. But it's, yeah. That's basically all it is. You just kind of want to roll your third finger here so that it's over both of these strings, or slightly bend up the first finger and then grab, maybe roll your third finger over the B string and get that get the plectrum here to attack both strings. You could try it on different strings too, like maybe here. Okay, that's really just this. But I'm grabbing the G string as well. So give it a try. It's a really cool trick to use. Alright, so this next trick is often referred to as what's called an auto flange. It's very, very fun. It's not just been done by Gary Moore, probably most notably done by Eddie Van Halen, but people like Zakk Wylde have also done this as well. I mean, any guitarist can do it, but I would say first song to listen to for Gary Moore version of this is the end of the guitar solo to Wishing Well on the album version that Gary Moore did, the cover of Wishing Well. Check it out and you'll see, you'll hear the big use of this. Now, I have to involve in this video the way that Eddie Van Halen did it. Now, he would often play a couple of pull-offs on the G string. This is Eddie Van Halen way of doing it, where he would start on the 4th fret, pull off to the 2nd, and then pull off to the open string like this. Okay? And then what you do is you kind of drag the side of your hand here, kind of side of your little finger, along the strings by the pickups down, and you're kind of catching harmonics as you're doing the pull-offs. Okay? That's really cool sound. The Gary Moore way, he probably would use it more like on the A string, and he would do like a simple hammer-on pull-off on from the 3rd fret to the open string like this. Okay, nice. It almost does sound like a flanger when you think about it. You can also use the 5th fret for that. You get kind of a cool sound, and all you're doing as you're hammering on and pulling off here, you're just catching the harmonics from the side of your hand here as you're going along the string. That's all you're doing. It's almost like doing a pick scrape with your hand as you're pulling off. So just give it a try. It's ultra fun. Try it with the Eddie Van Halen way, try it with the Gary Moore way, try it on different strings, just experiment. It's really cool. So this is a typical fast descending legato line that I've seen Gary Moore use in a few live situations. Okay, let's play it slower. That sort of thing. And now he can use it on different strings too. That sort of thing. And I've seen him do this in different keys. Songs that I think are most notable for this is when he really goes fast in songs like Cold Day in Hell. He might put a line like this in very quickly, or King of the Blues. Just check out some live videos and you'll see him occasionally do this. He doesn't do it a heck of a lot, but he does do it, and it sounds like he's really going for it, and it sounds really cool. He gets some really cool effects with this. So what this is, we're going to be using the A minor scale here. So we're going to start up here with the 15th fret, little finger. We're going to be using these 3 notes to start with. 15, 13, 12. We're going to start with a high note here, the 15th, pull off to the 12, hammer on to 13, and then pull off to the 12. So it's high note, low note, middle note, low note. Okay, pretty easy to remember. And you can alternate those notes if you like, just to get the feel. Anyway, after we've done high, low, middle, low, we then slide to the next note in the scale below. And now we have these 3 notes to work with. Okay, so we now have 13, 12, and 10. So then, after we've slid from 12 to 10, we then hammer on to the 13th, pull off to the 10th, hammer on to 12th, pull off to 10th again. And then slide to the 8th, because we're going down that scale, right? And so on and so on, just keep going down that scale. So, high note, low note, middle note, low note, slide, high note, low note, middle note, low note, slide, and so on. That's kind of how it works, and you might do it here. It's basically this little phrase here. You know, he might just kind of go through that sort of thing as he descends. So just check it out, try it, and it might be something that you haven't already used when you're using, your legato lines. Just try and put that in every now and again, and it might kind of spice things up a little bit. Okay, so another thing that I've seen Gary Moore do quite a bit of in both his rock playing and his blues playing, when his guitar's turned up, there's quite a bit of gain on it and it's quite energetic, is using pinched harmonics when he's playing lines on the lower guitar string, so on the low E, the A and the D especially. A good example of this would be again near the end of the solo in Wishing Well, before the auto flange kind of effect that he did. And again, it's just, I mean, we're not going to be doing a pinched harmonic guitar lesson here, but just think of doing something like this, but pinched harmonics. That sort of thing. Just think of playing lines like that, adding a few pinched harmonics in, doing some mutes here and there. You don't have to mute every note, but you can mute quite a few of them if you want. Just have a bit of a play around. And Gary Moore used to do that quite a bit, and it just gives a bit more of an attack, a bit more of an angry sound. And Gary Moore actually did play kind of a style quite often where he would have that high energy, quite angry sounding guitar. Alright, so finally I just want to talk about Gary Moore's general fast pentatonic flurry licks. That sort of thing. You've heard that probably a million times before, but I'm going to teach you a little trick here. I've made videos on this sort of thing in the past, but we're going to use the tip of our finger here, again in A minor pentatonic. We're going to be borrowing the tip of the finger, the first finger, over the high E and B on the 5th fret there. So now we can hammer on from the 5th fret here to the 8th on the B string, pull back off, play these, maybe the 8th fret on the G for an example, then hammer back on 5th to 8th on the B. So you can repeat that if you want. But when we go here again, you can also now switch to the high E and then hammer onto the 8th fret there. That sort of thing, and then go up and down over 3 strings just by using that little barring method there on the tip of the finger of the first finger. Alright, so let's take this phrase here where we have 5 and 8 hammered on here on the B, and then 5 8 5 hammer on, pull off on the high E, then 8 5 pulled off on the B again, and then finally the 8 on the G. Okay, something like that, and we can take that and go round and round with it. But sometimes when we land on that low note there, that blues note, we can actually slide to the 7th and then pull off to the 5th on the G, just like that. And then do the we can play the 7th fret on the D next, pull off to 5, and then 7th fret on the A, slide to 5, pull off to 3, and then land on the low A note here, the 5th fret of the low E. That sort of thing. I did a little bit of finger rolling there that we were talking about in the previous Gary Moore Habits video, and sometimes Gary would also do a little bit of this, like he would do like the odd trill, so something like this. Okay, so you can feel free to add a few more trills in there as well. Gary Moore would often do that. So, until the next video, hopefully you can have a lot of fun with what we spoke about today. And yeah, there's more out there that I haven't talked about, but it's never ending really. It's the whole journey of guitar. Until next time, take it easy.